is time for the top 5 segment. We're going to be having some fun with this one because it is top 5 films that are set in New York. That's right. We've been having great success and great new young like-minded people come into the company, and they're doing absolutely amazing, throwing us some creative ideas for top 5 segments and so many other things. So we want to give a shout out to all of our interns, everybody here that's working at Crazy Ant Media. We really appreciate all of your hard work and what you're doing for us, man. Oh, man. But
Yes.
New York, man, this is such an iconic city. Literally. Like,
Literally.
it was the original, capital of the United States, which I don't know if a lot of people know about.
That's
History. I
correct.
love it. So, yes, it's such a big milestone. You can feel it's a melting pot. It's a big melting pot with so many different cultures, with so many different vibes, with so many different generations that have come from different countries and being able to, come to this place and believe in the American dream. And that's really what the New York City, represents to me anyway. It's the land of opportunity, that is for sure.
Yes.
Well, speaking of opportunity, my number 5 goes to Uncut Gems, set in New York City. Of course, Adam Sandler, A24, doing amazing things as they do. A more dramatic role for Adam Sandler as he is a gambling addict, a gambling jewelry dealer, and he gets himself caught up because when you're handling big money like diamonds and jewelry and diamonds that are like you haven't seen before coming from overseas and trying to get things, you're like, oh my gosh, it's a lot of money, and a lot of things can get involved with that, especially in New York. Like I said, melting pot, one of the homes of the mafia when they came over here from Sicily. So it's very freaking interesting, and I love this approach that Adam Sandler did with this film. And while I'm watching it, I have anxiety the whole time, which is what they try to portray. If the film is giving you emotion, it is doing something right. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter what emotion it is, but if it is giving you emotion, it is doing it right. And we watched this film with like a crowd full of people. Our theater was packed for this one.
Yeah.
So it was such an amazing thing to see, and I love watching it with audiences shoulder by shoulder. But yeah, I thought it highlighted New York City in a way that it's a hustler city. No matter what industry you're in, what you're trying to do with your life, you have to hustle, you have to make connections, and you have to continue moving forward, and you have to take chances because that motherfucker was gonna die in that movie. But he just kept taking chances and inevitably came out underneath loan sharks. But yeah, Uncut Gems is freaking amazing. My number 5.
I love that. Fantastic film. If you guys haven't seen it, you have maybe, just maybe, my favorite Adam Sandler performance. And he's had a lot of good ones, but yeah, that might just be my favorite. My number 5, okay, we've established on this show, and I think many in the entertainment industry have also confirmed that if Jaws was indeed the first summer blockbuster, the first tentpole film, then this film was the first action hero movie. Action movie where the lead guy was the guy everybody wanted to be. And it's evident in every action film since then. It's in 1981, and it's called Escape from New York, and it's Kurt Russell. The patch, he's got the patch over the eye, and basically the premise of this thing is in 1997, okay, set in the future of 1981. In 1997, basically New York the state of New York has become, and the city of New York has become a prison. The whole city of New York is a prison. And the president's plane crashes there, and he's in trouble. And so this new convict, who's new to prison life and everything, old Snake, he's been tasked with helping the president escape from New York. It is, in my opinion, like it's nonstop action. And Snake is a total badass. He's like the guy that you wish would be with you everywhere you're trying to go that you might be in trouble. This is the guy you want to get you out. This is the guy that will kill anything that gets in his way, the kind of thing. And if, in my opinion, and it's such a good cast. I mean, aside from Kurt Russell, you had Lee Van Cleef, of course, from the Magnificent Seven, Ernie Borgnine, just so many different people. But if you watch even Commando, pretty much right after that, if you watch Die Hard, all of the action movies that started to follow after Escape from New York, they've all got little elements of Snake in. You look at John McClane, he's got some Snake in him. You look at any of the action heroes that we see over the years, even to this day, you'll find a little Snake in him somewhere. And it's because of this movie and Kurt Russell. They've tried to do this one again. They tried to do an Escape from LA. They've tried to do a knockoff of this movie called... It never really quite works because this is so unique and original to its time. But I really do say, my number 5, Escape from New York, because I really wholeheartedly believe if this movie doesn't exist, the action film that we know today wouldn't exist.
Completely agree. Yeah, I mean, if Kurt Russell didn't do what he did as an action star, we might not have had, Sylvester Stallone. We might not have had Arnold Schwarzenegger. We might not have had Mr. Blockbuster himself, Tom Cruise.
That's exactly right, yeah.
They kept building on the footsteps that he did. So completely agree.
And keep in mind that when he did this movie, he became the big badass. He's a Disney kid. Yeah. He was one of the original Disney kids, guys. Like, a lot of people forget that, but Kurt Russell was a fucking Disney star when he was like 10, 8 years old. Like, I mean, it's crazy to me that we don't think of him like that anymore, but that's basically where he got his start, was a Disney kid. And then he's now probably known as one of the most famous action guys. It's just crazy to me. It's crazy.
Completely agree, man. My number 4 goes to Ghostbusters. Any of the Ghostbusters, really, that were set in New York City, because I feel like they really show the camaraderie and the togetherness, and they also highlight the city very well in all of their films. You see the skylines, you see, all the different aspects and the touristy spots where maybe or may not have some ghosts. But I love this film because great comedy. It was so innovative during the time. If you go back, and there's a Netflix documentary episode, I believe, about it, about like the movies that made us or whatever, and Ghostbusters is on there. They didn't know Bill Murray was either going to say yes or no, because Bill has always been very freaking interesting when picking his roles and very vague with people because he likes to just plain out fuck with people.
Correct.
So like he literally didn't show up until the first day of shooting. But yeah, Ghostbusters, it's a classic, man. This is one that I'm so happy that I got to go and see in the theaters when the fandom did like an event. They've been releasing old films back in the day, back in the theaters. So I think that's really cool. But yeah, what this film brought, I feel like, was a little bit of sci-fi and comedy. They brought those two genres together and blended very freaking well, to where, of course, obviously the revisitation is happening now with the franchise. So I think it's very successful, and it lays a stepping stone of like the cross genres being able to mesh well together in certain films. So yeah, I absolutely love that. Number 4 for me goes to Ghostbusters,
which again was a risk. You're talking about plucking some guys from Saturday Night Live and SCTV in Canada with Ramis. Yeah. And saying, let's make a kind of an action flick comedy with these like skit guys. That's a big risk. I mean, and yet it worked, obviously. And little known fact, if you guys didn't know, much to Ernie Hudson's, he's grateful, because Winston's awesome and everybody, he's beloved now. But Ernie wasn't the original choice, you guys. Winston was supposed to be played by Eddie Murphy, who passed on the gig. That he was the original choice, and it didn't work out. So it would have been a whole different Ghostbusters with Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, that would have been weird.
I can't even imagine that. Like, but there it is. They should have him cameo in one of the new ones. That'd just be because maybe he's a relative of Winston. That would be epic. I just an homage too,
Yeah.
My number 4, maybe. I'm sure it is for some people, and I teeter with this. Maybe the greatest rom-com of all time. Sometimes it is for me, sometimes it is, but it's up there. It's in the top, no doubt. And it asks the age-old question, which I'm not quite sure the film answers, but it tries. Can men and women just be friends? Can they be in a really close relationship and just be friends? Well, Harry met Sally and they tried to figure that out. And what an incredible movie. When Harry Met Sally, Billy Crystal, Meg Ryan, it's adorable. It literally follows this couple as they try to transition and from friends to lovers to like, what are we doing? Is this possible, or are we just really close friends? It's because let's be honest about this, guys. We talk about this all the time. I think the best films are the ones that are relatable, that are authentic, that the audience can connect with. And who ever in the existence of hasn't asked that question? Can I be really close with a woman or a man, have this like love relationship where I love them dearly, would die for them, would do anything for them, and it's not sexual? It's literally just friends, or does it have to become that other? Right? And I mean, who hasn't it's a thing. So that, in my opinion, is why that movie worked so well. And then you cast Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan, and it was bound to be successful. Rob Reiner directs this thing. A lot of people don't realize that Princess Leia herself was in this movie as well as one of the friends. It's a very interesting film, and I think it's most famous because everybody knows the orgasm scene, the faking an orgasm in the diner stuff. But guys, it's so much more evolved than that. It's so much. In my opinion, it does a great job of diving deep into the situation and asking the question while staying lighthearted and making it fun and making it funny. And while answering a very deep question. And it's just brilliant. When Harry Met Sally, my number 4.
Yes, completely agree. Completely agree. Now, full disclosure, anybody who's ever listened to the show, if you're a religious listener to the show, my top 3 you have heard me talk about, and I'm sure you have. My number 3 goes to Gangs of New York, starring Daniel Day-Lewis, Leonardo DiCaprio, Cameron Diaz, directed by the one and only Martin Scorsese. Man, oh man, it's such an amazing film. Absolutely love it. I was talking about a little bit earlier in Uncut Gems with The Melting Pot. This shows early New York. This shows early New York gangs, which is absolutely crazy. Loosely based off of things that they read about a character named Bill the Butcher, who Daniel Day-Lewis plays. And what that film described and what it showed was there's always been different versions of the American dream. There's always been animosity against different cultural backgrounds, no matter of religion, skin color, culture, anything like that. There's always been opposition. So you got to think about these things when you're going through current day times and thinking about all of these different things. You got to ask yourself, where did this actually stem from? Because this is about the American made, American born people who believe that this land is theirs. But then you have the Scottish, you have the Irish, you have the immigrants who came in from overseas to Ellis Island looking for a new opportunity, a new way of life, and the American born not being prepared or not being willing to let these people be there or let these people have the same rights as they have or anything like that. We're still dealing with that in today's climate. So this film is as relevant now as it was when it first came out or when the origins of the story actually happened way back in the day. Also forgot Liam Neeson is in this thing too. Such a great freaking film. If you guys have not seen it, please be sure to do so. One of my favorite movies from Leonardo DiCaprio. Of course, everybody knows he's my favorite actor. And it's so bad because I probably should not have watched this film when I was so young. I was I was probably like 8 or 9 when I saw this thing and freaking like freaking faces getting burnt with knives, like Cameron Diaz's amazing young body as I am a young boy. And yes, anyway, never thought cooties were real, guys. Always liked them. But anyway, I do think that this film is such an amazing thing and such a film classic that everybody should be a part of. So number 3 for me, I was about to say Cameron Diaz. Number 3 for me, Gangs of New York.
Everybody should be a part of Cameron too. It's like,
Yeah,
why
yeah,
not?
for
Yeah, why
sure,
not?
for sure.
Oh man, I love that though. Yeah, you can't, because as awesome as Ellis Island was, and it was also a nightmare, and things that happened during that time frame just not always nice.
Yeah.
And it's a great movie. It's Scorsese, of course. Like so, my number three. You know the song. I bet you know the movie too. Can you talk about movies set in New York and not have this one on the list? Breakfast at Tiffany's. Audrey Hepburn, America's sweetheart. Like, guys, this is like the epitome of like a filmmaker's film. This does everything right from start to finish. It's beautifully told story. It's shot beautifully. It's got brilliant actors in it. George Papard obviously is the male. Everybody talks about Audrey Hepburn, but you got George Papard in there, and who. I don't even know if a lot of people remember he was a pretty big star back in the day, but I think he's most famous for going on to play Hannibal in the A-Team with Mr.
Yeah.
T and stuff. I mean, that's where most people know him. He was an old guy at that point, but he was a pretty big movie star back in the day. I love everything about this movie. The lighthearted of Holly and how Audrey plays her. And the idea that she's really into this new guy that moves into the building, but she's got this secret past that might blow everything, and they hint around the secret past. So I don't want to give too much away because you have to watch it, and if I say anything, it blows the whole premise of the movie for you. So I don't want to do that in case you are one of the rare people living under a rock that hasn't seen it. But it's a brilliantly told, just beautiful movie from start to finish. And little piece of trivia for you, if you didn't know, there's a certain fella in there, a certain actor in there, with the name of Alan Reed. Don't recognize that name, Alan Reed? How about if I did? Yabba dabba doo! That's right. The voice of Fred Flintstone is in this film. He's one of the stars of this film. You wouldn't know it because he looks nothing like Fred, and he doesn't sound like Fred in the movie. But it's a really cool little trivia thing. So if you ever get asked, what cartoon character was in Breakfast at Tiffany's, now you know. Just a great romantic comedy and a great story, just a great love story. But I have it on my list because it is a filmmaker's film. It is a filmmaker's film. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Breakfast at Tiffany's.
For sure. Such a good one, man. Such a good one. Number 2 for me goes to, it's always a toss-up. But I always say this is my favorite movie of all time, but it's always battling with my number 1, so it always makes sense. But my number 2 goes to Sleepers, and one of the specific neighborhoods that the entertainment industry loves to keep going back to, which is Hell's Kitchen, right? With Daredevil, with so many different versions of different things like mafia films or, love stories. Hell's Kitchen is such an iconic freaking place. And this film shows the generosity and the lovingness and the dirtiness that is New York City and Hell's Kitchen. And just being the place where you can grow up and not be a product of your environment, or if you lean more towards your environment, then being the product of that as well. So it's one of my all-time favorites. If people have not seen it, please be sure to do so. So many great people in that film. I've talked about it immensely, so of course I don't want to give too much away, but yes, number 2 for me, Sleepers.
Dude, love the film. Love the way you describe it. We talk about that one a lot, and it's because it's a great film. Like Logan said, it's another one of those, though you can't blow the plot for people. So, watch it if you haven't watched it. My number 2, okay, this is an interesting one for me. Bobby, as we like to call him, old Bobby De Niro. He's played a lot of terrifying roles. Okay, let's be honest about it. Guy's a pretty creepy guy if given the right time and genre and role. But in my opinion, the scariest guy he ever played was in Taxi Driver. My number 2 is Taxi Driver. This is about a war veteran that is suffering from PTSD. He's got insomnia, so he can't sleep, so he drives a cab at night. And he has violent tendencies. He's still battling the war, okay? And he views New York as this cesspool of bad people. And and so he's really agitated by it. And a very young Jodie Foster, little girl Jodie Foster. I won't say what, but there's an incident that happens with Jodie's character that pushes him over the edge, that pushes Travis over the edge because of what happens to Iris. And he goes from having violent tendencies to a full-on war of cleaning up New York City. And it gets very dark, very fast, and very violent, but it's just a phenomenal film. And young actors watch this film for character study on how De Niro plays Travis. It's a masterclass in acting. It's a fucking brilliant film. You've got Sybil Shepherd in this thing, Albert Brooks, Jodie Foster, Bobby De Niro. Just the cast is insane. Victor Argo, Peter Boyle. Oh my gosh, Peter Boyle. Frankenstein, or Everybody Loves Raymond if you know him from there. But I would say to this, we're talking about movies that we love New York City. It portrays New York in a very dark way.
It does.
But there is an underbelly, much like Gangs of New York. Sometimes New York's not pretty. This movie definitely exposes the dark side of the Big Apple. But if you are a young actor or somebody who wants to be an actor, trying to get into this business, and you want to know how to do it, watch this movie. From start to finish, it's a masterclass, and De Niro's performance in this thing is just top notch. Taxi Driver, my number 2. One of the best movies set in New York City, and one of the most terrifying. Without that.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Well, it's time. That's right. My number 1 goes to Home Alone 2, of course, Lost in New York.
Shocker.
I mean, of course.
Shocker.
Of course. I don't even have to say anything. The house is better. Of course, the iconic house in Chicago and the original one is, of course, iconic. I said it in the words. But the house is better in New York City. I think the whole thing with the bad guys being there, like with the toolbox going down the stairs, hitting, and then the throwing the cans off of the roof or the bricks off of the roof and hitting them. I love those 2 scenes. For some reason, they've always stuck out to me. But I mean, you'd highlight so many different aspects because, he befriends a homeless woman. And I feel like a big part of this movie is not judging books by their cover. And I love that every single time. And in New York, I feel like that's exactly how it is. Of course, you have people who stick to themselves, but you have a lot of that camaraderie to where you are able to have conversations out of nowhere. It's an amazing thing. And I, of course, love this movie. I can talk about it all day long, but I will leave you with that. My number 1, Home Alone 2.
You didn't mention 2-time President of the United States, Donald Trump.
Right. No, of course.
Who I think, if I'm not mistaken, has been cut out of the movie. They cut that scene out of the movie.
On Disney Plus. Not in it.
Yeah, pretty sure. Maybe that's a reason not to watch it. So let's cut him out. No, don't we even worry about that.
Down the hall to the left.
That's right. That's
literally his. Yeah.
Oh man, and he begged to be in it. Apparently, it's like
he
says
did.
They asked him, but the real thing, the people all behind the film say, not quite. It was the other way around.
They wanted to use the Plaza Hotel, and he was like, "Yes, only if I can be in
exactly.
it." So, yeah.
What a douchebag. My number 1 is much like your number 1 in the sense that if you have a longtime listener of this show or have known me for a long time, this had to be my number 1 movie because I talk about this thing all the time. What am I talking about? Well, my friends, Greed. Greed is good. Greed cuts through and clarifies. Okay, you know the speech, and it's by Gordon Gekko, and it's Wall Street. The Oliver Stone definitive look at New York City in the 80s, where everybody was fucking rich, even the poor people, but it wasn't always for good reasons that everybody was rich. Look, again, this was the definitive New York City in the 80s. It really was a time where the economy, everybody was thriving. It was the most prosperous time in American history. While there was still a big wealth gap, even the poor were far wealthier than they are today. even though the gap was still really big between the really wealthy and the poor. But it's just a stark look at what greed can do to you, and how it corrupts and how it ruins lives and how what you think might be good is actually the worst thing ever. There's a reason it's one of the 7 deadly sins, guys. But it's a stark look at it, and Oliver Stone just pulls it off brilliantly. And Charlie Sheen and Martin Sheen and Gordon Gekko, Michael Douglas himself, just brilliant. Brilliant performances from all 3 of them. Daryl Hannah, Splash Daryl Hannah, was totally different direction in this movie, playing like basically a call girl. I can't say enough about this movie. I love this movie. And Wall Street Money Never Sleeps, the sequel to it, the big gap, long in between sequel, same thing. It was a stark look at the reality of how money now plays a role in society, with banks and brokerage firms and the stock market bust and the housing bubble. And so and that one's with Shia LaBeouf. And of course you can't have Wall Street without Gordon Gekko, so he's back. But I would highly recommend both of these. But my number one overall, the original Wall Street, it's just, if you've never watched it, watch it. It's a brilliant film, just brilliant.
Yes, so good, so good. And there's so many other ones that are set in New York City.
Oh my God,
we're only
so
limited
many.
to 5. We're only limited to 5. But we do want to know, what is your favorite film that is set in New York City? Please be sure to comment down below in the YouTube comment section. Add us on X, Threads, or any of the good places on social media. It's always a fun conversation, so we definitely want to know, what is your favorite film set in New York City?
You know what one I'm shocked neither one of us had on the list? King Kong.
King Kong,
One of the most,
Spider-Man,
Spider-Man, yeah. Oh my God, Spider-Man, yeah. But King Kong is one of the most iconic film scenes in history, with him at the top of the Empire State Building.
Yeah.
And neither one of us had it. Like, oops. I think it's because we're so set in the new King Kong, where it's on Kong Island and not in New York City anymore. But the original Kong, when he's brought to New York City, and even the 70s one, which I think is everybody's real favorite one, Empire State Building. I can't believe we didn't have that on the list.
There's a lot, like The Departed, Shutter
my
Island, Spider-Man, Tower Heist, Blood Ties, so many different ones. I wanted to give a shout out to Radio Man, who is actually a homeless guy in New York City, but he is able to cameo on so many different films. He's the guy who looks exactly like Robin Williams. If you've ever seen the pictures or videos of Robin Williams wanting to employ homeless people on film sets, Radio Man is one of them. And so shout out to him. He's been and cameoed over 150 movies.
Yeah.
So it's really freaking awesome to see.